Yeah, so here we go again. The day is Saturday, I believe. It's 5:15 in the PM. I've just been shopping, so this is my obligatory talking to myself after. Hello there, I'm Ben. This is my therapy replacement, substitute for therapy, due to my therapist being busy growing another human. What you just heard, or may have heard, is my dash cam. I currently have no way of killing it without pulling the power, which is a major risk of not plugging it back in, so it shall remain plugged in and make noise. The weather, temperatures 33 degrees centigrade. It's bloody humid. I've come here to a pond, lake, I don't know, somewhere between the two, size-wise. Formerly it is known as a lake by name, so I guess it's a lake. It's a big pond or very small lake. I've been shopping. I spent $35 on shopping. Among other things, I got myself some fancy milk. Approximately, 2/7 of the bill were milk, so that's not too bad. Another 2/7 were probably sweets, but that's just how it go. Day's drink of choice is some fancy milk. Double the price per volume, and considering it's the same volume, double the price, full stop. As to my regular milk, but it is non-homogenized, which means you get the tasty cream bits swimming on top, which birds like to pick out with milk with just soft tinfoil covers. So cheers. Good stuff. Though I somehow think I have not been productive all this day. I haven't done any writing, which is what I'm here for in the first place. The day is still young, for sunsets after 10 PM, which means we still have more than 5 hours of sunlight. So that's something. I have managed to set up my writing locale with a sun sail, well, a tarp tensioned to act as sun sail. I predicted in the beginning it was going to take 2 hours, and it ended up taking precisely 2 hours, so I'm quite happy with that. It's properly tensioned to the point where the eyes and the corners are slightly dodgy, and there's only one I can't reach. All the rest I've reinforced with gaffer tape. Though this is not a holiday for me, as a workation for all practical purposes, I am behaving almost as if it were some kind of holiday. For getting milk and some other stuff, foodstuffs and some snacks, I did go to a shop that was by far not the closest, I believe the 7th closest grocery shop. There would have been one other of the same brand closer, at least, maybe two. But, odds of running into people one known would like to see, so that's what one do, I guess. I do got time, but I don't got infinite time, because on the end of the day, I gotta get going and start writing this crap. I still have yet to send that email about, well, change what you will, as long as it don't affect me negatively, you can do whatever you like. Which is something I do aspire to send. There's a couple of people there, so let me just wave. There we go. Yeah, so that's something. It's really bloody warm. Surprise. I mean, 33 degrees centigrade. Which is why I came to this lake, because where I am parked now, halted, parked, whatever, there was formerly a big willow casting a lot of shade, which is why I came in the first place, because, well, nearby a lake with some shade is not that hot. Problem is, I've since found out that willow seemed to have not even been chopped off, but fallen off. It have been removed, but the trunk remnants are not cleanly cut, they're broken, so I'm guessing it fell off. I have also managed to have a shower, though I believe in this weather that might have been redundant, because I should probably have another one once I return to my mother's. I'll manage, I'm really happy with how I managed to set up that tarp to act as sun sail. It's about as solid as can be, considering what I used was tie downs, bannets, which are mini tie downs used in film lighting, and a wooden trunk of approximately 2.5-3 meters length. And besides that, the only fixed points I used were all around the place. So 2 corners tied to trees, one of those corners also tied to a fence, and the other end's tied to the house of my mother. So that worked out. I believe it's going to be sturdy enough to last until at least the first storm come through, by which point I'll probably want to cap at least 2 out of the 4 corners to not have it tear horrendously. Because the fixed points, well, the trees will be sturdy enough, but I don't know about the house. Because, well, one of the corners is around a main structural beam of the roof, that's going to work, but the other is just around a hinge for window shutters, which is the dodgiest of the corners in my eye. My mother do have a fig tree which have grown on that corner that I hadn't considered because I hadn't been here for more than half a year, and that fig tree have grown a lot since, which means I couldn't actually use a ladder to get up on that structural roof beam. I had to end up getting it over there with a long stick and basically doing a winchless pulley with just 2 ends of the rope, both at the bottom, so I can get it back down after, and halfway up the top tied to it using a bannet. Surprise, I believe it is. Might have been using one of the pieces of string segment that was already attached, you know. It's really warm, and the joke is there's nothing I can do about it, even if I turn on the car fans, because all the air is bloody warm. I guess that's the part of the consequence of the weather. This is the Toscano, Germany, after all. There is a reason they grow wine here. Then again, with climate change, I believe the summers have become more brutal more frequently. For in my childhood, I remember 33 degrees centigrade would have not been seen frequently. These days, it is sadly no surprise. You know, it's just how it is. Yesterday, I talked to myself in the sticks. It's actually surprisingly more pleasant there, which is why I did bring a portable writing setup, for I have everything I need to write on the move. I can pack it all in the car in half an hour's time and unpack it in less than that. And I am still open for going to the sticks, but before that I want to get a major volume of the 40 pages I've got to write out of the way, just because that's more holiday than work, going to the sticks to write for funsies. The way I have it set up with the stage bit, Practicable, that I've borrowed from my former place of internship, I can actually walk around in circles while I'm thinking and then just stand there type. I did bring my backup keyboard. I did not bring my primary, so I do not got the Sherbert, Caliph Sherbert switches I've lubed myself. I have unlubed or pre-lubed, one of the two, a Cherry MX Blue switches, but you know, it's better than 90% of the keyboards out there, so nah. Can't really complain though, I'm a bit snobby about it. In the past couple of days I have actually written, though I haven't written on my thesis. I've written a solid couple of pages worth, maybe even 3, just on potential correspondence that I shan't send. Because in the society, apparently calling out someone's bullshitting, even if it is obvious to all parties they did, and stating the fact that they have lost the trust they had, is not acceptable. So I'm just gonna, in the end of the day, say do as you please, as long as it don't have any consequences to my disadvantage. I acknowledge your changes, because I cannot say anything else that's socially acceptable, which is the last sentence of my current revision of what I will send to them by Monday. Because in the end of the day, they're kind of screwing me over. I mean, my supervision was versed in the subject matter. The one I'd picked, the one they'd confirmed, well, the one I'd picked, the one they decided, and the one they'd confirmed, because that was all the same supervision. Now they've changed it to a party whom I believe to not have much idea of the subject matter, which is, I guess, kind of a bummer, but oh well. I have, without substitute, cancelled my appointment with my supervision, which would have been in just over 2 weeks' time, because they are no longer my supervision, and I cannot expect them to volunteer their free time to aid me in my work. For they'll still be the second examiner, my aspired supervision, but that's all they will be. Then again, I don't think anyone can complain about the work I do, because I know I can do it. I just gotta. That's the problem. And I guess I'll just have to, I gotta do it. That's part of the pain, I guess, having to do the work. But you gotta put in the work to get the degree, I guess, and in this case, I'll be basically doing it without supervision. I might make one appointment or ask for an appointment with my now supervisor, just so they can have their input, so they have no reason to say, as they are also the first examiner, ooh, this is a bit problematic. If they've given their input, they are a lot less likely to say that, so I'll probably want that one appointment with them. Then again, they'll be out of office for most of the time I have for potential appointments. Oddly enough, I have already gotten the invitation of uni for the graduation ceremony. In the end of the day, me writing this thesis is just a formality, I believe, because I don't think there's a way I cannot get the degree, assuming I don't cheat writing the thesis, which I have no reason to. It's easy enough as is. Yeah, I guess that's just the way it is. And by the way, the lake I'm by, I know this lake because lifelong friends do fish this lake, and they are the ones issuing permits to fish this. And I can see there is a lot of fish there, so I guess that's good news for them. Just because they're popping up, grabbing flies from the top of the surface. And you can see the rings spread out, which I could use for my thesis film. I could just sit here, set up the phone camera or any camera, and capture spreading waves as phenomenon, because that is, in the end of the day, fluid dynamics of a disturbed surface and surface tension of water, which is a phenomenon of applied physics. So, I guess that's part of what I'll do. I have wondered whether to do Schlieren imaging for my thesis film, because why not, I could do the Moray variation, which means you use a grid and subtract the grid digitally. So just variations of movement are. Problem with that is it's not so high res. I'd rather do the classical Schlieren imaging, according to whomever that was. Don't have all the stuff memorized, surprise. But good news for that is I actually happen to have a parabolic mirror for inside a telescope, but I'm not too bothered about the telescope. It's not like I've used it more than twice or thrice. And it only cost me $20 in the first place, buying off a friend who didn't want it no more. So I might very well salvage that mirror and do Schlieren imaging in the classical method. Which I might want to borrow a light from my former place of internship, but I'm sure they won't mind, and it's easy enough, And it have a lot of potential. Schlieren imaging, that is, for video art, and obviously it is a phenomenon of applied physics because it is used for demonstrations in physics, which, though I have established for myself, I still need to put in writing. Because having established things is not worth anything if it's not written down. Well, it's worth something. I don't got to think about it to write it, I just got to write it, but I still got to, Cigarette consumption yesterday was a total of, I believe, 14 or 16, so that's not too bad. Day before yesterday it was brutally high, but I guess that's the way it go. That being said, here we go. Cancer sticks, coffin nails, whatever you want to call them. Do not smoke, smoking kills. And thank you very much for sticking around and watching these. It means the world to me. It truly does. The reason I'm this red-headed is because, well, surprise, it's bloody warm. It's still 33 degrees centigrade. And I'm here with both windows open and a draft coming through. Admittedly, the dog owners whom I'd waved to earlier walking past here did look at me funny, but they understood I was talking to myself because the windows are open and you can hear me. The holidaying bit, which I shouldn't be doing, but I am to some degree, also entails the fact that I'm at the in the polar opposite direction of me mother's as to where I went shopping, which was already a major detour. So I guess I like driving, and around here driving's chill, especially if you aren't aiming to go nowhere. In particular, that is, or you don't gotta be somewhere. The thing I notice more and more is here, for all practical purposes, as to where I usually drive, the countryside, people drive more chill. People aren't in as much a hurry. I mean, I had a Swiss Merc behind me earlier, was in a bit of a hurry. But beside that, people don't mind being 10 below the speed limit, which is something I admire, though I can't do it myself. Is something I'll still have to learn, that inner peace, but I am getting closer to it every time I drive, I guess, around here, so that's something. Just now, through the settlement, there's a 30 speed limit, and at times I only did 20. And 25 would have been safe to do, but I felt like 20, so I'd done 20, and I didn't hinder no one. There was a motorcycle behind me, but they weren't speeding either. They weren't in a hurry. They were just enjoying the fresh air in the settlement due to shade. Because, surprise, they were wearing racing leathers, and it's bloody warm. I mean, you can see the sweat come on my shirt as I'm just sitting here talking to myself. I'm not even doing any physical labour. That being said, after I put up the de facto sun sail earlier, my shirt was totally drenched, which is why I did have a shower and change of clothes, you know. Oddly enough, with this weather, there still is a decent chunk of cloud coverage. I cannot see a single bit of blue sky, but it's just feel like in an oven, you know. It's also rather humid, as you might be able to tell by my forehead. That's where face towel in the car come in handy real well, you know. I reckon I'll try and get at least 3 pages written later today, just for the sake of it. I know I got 10 pages worth of writing in here minimum, more likely 15, 20. And I'm not far away from having another 10 on top of that, so I just got to do the mechanical labour of writing. I believe I'll become more of an evening person for doing this, just because it's so bloody warm over day. At this time, I do not need to abide by social standards or societal standards for circadian rhythm and waking hours. So I reckon I'll just do like going to bed at 4 in the AM kind of deal, because then I'll get the chillness of the night. Talking about circadian rhythms, I did end up leaving my plants at home with the light still on growing, so 18 hours. I just put plenty of water in the underpot, because that's a bloody big underpot, and I'm hoping they won't be dead when I arrive back home, because I kind of want to get them to grow, and by the time I arrive home I reckon I'll be able to switch them to the flowering phase, but that's something I'll still have to sort, and just got hope, you know. Who knows, they might have been dried out by a week by the time I get back, but that's the fun of it. In worst case, I'll get to grow some more, start over, you know. I don't think I'll have to, because they're pretty robust plants, surprise. They aren't called grass or the killer weed or whatever you want to call them for no reason. They're called that because they're pretty easy to grow, assuming you don't do any major fuck-ups, like over-fertilising them, under-watering them, over-watering them. Too high a temperature, too low a temperature. You get the point. Even if just one survive, I'm happy. It is really humid, man. Like, hella, you know. With putting up the de facto sun sail tarp earlier, I was actually really productive, and I didn't have a single smoke break in 2 hours time doing it, so nice, you know. Mm. I do still got 2 more tarps in the back of the car, though I believe I won't need them. I'll probably return them to where we store stuff like that. Or I might end up taking them home just because they come in handy a lot of the time, and even if you just transport something dirty in the car, putting a tarp down save you a lot of brushing out the car after, you know. Oh, it's really warm. Oh. Now that I do not live here, I understand more and more why this is a tourist region of the country. That being Vorderpfalz, or southern Rhineland-Palatinate, on the border of Alsace in the state of Rhineland-Palatinate, in land of Rhineland-Palatinate, because European English translations refer to German states as Länder. So it is a land, even in English, at least according to European Union English. Which isn't really a thing, but it is a thing, so, you know. The main industry here by far is tourism and wine, so I understand why now. Because having lived here most of my life, I was not able to appreciate the beauty of the place for most of my life. Now that I don't live here, it's fucking amazingly beautiful, man. I mean, yeah, okay, the capital city is beautiful in different ways. It have real nice architecture and so on, where I live these days. But around here, just nature and the flow of landscapes is bloody stunning, man. Like, I really quite like it. Not living here, look pretty beautiful. Before, and it was just everyday thing you have to drive through to get to where you're going. And now it's actually enjoyable, which I guess helps with the chill driving. Yeah, so I got 7 more litres of milk, one of which is a fancy litre in the back. I'll have to get that to a fridge soon enough, because otherwise it'll spoil with this weather. Surprise. Anyways, I'm really enjoying the weather around here. I hope you enjoy, well, not the weather, the landscape. Anyways, the weather's too hot, but yeah, I'll always complain about the weather. Hope you can enjoy the landscape wherever you are. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching this, and all previous ones if you have watched those, and future ones if you intend to watch those. Thank you very much. Stay safe, I'll see you around. Cheerio.